stories are so inspiring. I think the first thing I want to first of all start by saying is that there was a time I was discussing with Mr. Kombo about the film industry, because I also do film scoring as well. And I was like, I see a serious problem with how our films are portrayed. And majorly on how the solid background feels like. So you see an African film, or probably a Cameroonian film, like some of the films we're doing now, that has a lot to talk about Africa and the culture itself, but the solid background itself is having orchestral instruments that are coming from a foreign land. And the music never sits well with the film. Yeah. And I wonder why, I think I was telling him, I really always wonder why we never win best score. It's not like we lack the knowledge, but because we have a very strong cultural identity, and these people recognize it. Yes. They know we have it. Yes. And in fact, they try as much as possible to make light of it, so that we don't see the value. Yeah. But I tell you that if we can compete on any stage with what we have, we can stand and talk, and they'll listen. Not necessarily because we are going to speak their language, we are speaking a language they don't know. In fact, people pay more attention to you when you say something they don't know than when you say something they know. Imagine you're trying to score a film with probably brass and then strings, and somebody who is a professional on that other end looks at it and is like, that's not how they arrange the voice even for brass section, or maybe for the string orchestra. And they're like, no, we can't consider this for our film as the best score. But if you arrange something coming from, let's say, jam, spend time to really arrange jam and probably take the instrument, the instrument, and it's really shocking that with all the production we have in town, with all the equipment that we have, we don't have a well-sampled pack of our own traditional instruments. It's really baffling. So sometimes I just look at it and I'm like, well, I don't know how we're going to really push through with this. That's right, sir. And so, I want to talk about something, but I hope it's really going to bless us. Since I have very little time, I'm called Orel. I'm a musician, a drummer. I usually just say musician, so it's easy to cut across everything I do musically. And also, I'm also studying in school. I'm doing system thinking and physics. And I want to approach something this evening, I think it's very evening, from a system thinking perspective, and why art is not growing. I really spend time because I've been observing the environment, observing exactly what we might have as challenges. Because when we think about art in general, we maybe talk about the system that we are in. Systems have two things that we must pay attention to. What are the inputs and what are the outputs? And when you talk about an artist is not necessarily just you. It's not just you as an individual. Because you as an individual cannot thrive in a community that is built on systems. You can't. It means if you stand and you want to compete with someone that has systems that are well structured around the person, you can't survive. On any stage, you will not succeed. So we must address the most one, I think, I'll put it as a pertinent aspect, and is the aspect of systems. What systems have been built around your art? Now we talk about sustainability. Let me read something I wrote down here, which I think is very important. Sustainability is the ability for vision or thing to maintain a state of balance and uniformity, right? To maintain a state of balance and uniformity, or the same level of growth all through, like maintaining that. But what I will submit to you today is the art we have doesn't necessarily require sustainability. It requires acceleration. Because majority of what we have hasn't yet taken off to start saying we're sustaining. So many people here are planning to be artists and they want to build a sustainable system. But the problem is they are not aware that their art hasn't even taken off yet. You have not taken off, but you want to sustain. How do you sustain something that hasn't taken off yet? And this is a very good example is to look at. He mentioned something which many people take very lightly, and it's the aspect of learning. People take it very lightly, they take it for granted. You can have cultural identity, but you don't have a voice. I see on here said something. He said he knows his dialect very well. He speaks his dialect very well. English is a what? Transactional language. It means he is capable of communicating or talking with someone because he knows that language that is used for transaction. But his cultural identity is strong. But we want to communicate in the language of music, but we have no idea about what it is. We have the identity, we have the culture that has been ingrained into us, but there's no desire to learn as to what will music really entail. What does music really entail? If I ask someone here, what is music? Like most of the musicians, when I come across them, I say, I'm a musician. I usually just ask, what is music? You'll be shocked that most of them don't know. You can't, like you said, we are builders by nature, we are builders by creation. But we are expected to grow. For example, what our fathers did, they want to see us build from it. And how do you build from something when you have no knowledge of it? It's really the real challenge that we must look at, that we must actually focus on. Because for many artists, they're making light of the things that are the major aspect of system input. What? Someone says system input. So, this is what I'll submit to you. Sustainability is a product of a well-designed system. It's a product of what? A well-designed system. No, it's not something you add to a system later on that you're built. No. It's a product of what? A well-designed system. When a system has been well-structured, it becomes sustainable by itself. So sustainability means I can grow, I can invest, but my investment becomes what sustains, becomes what aids, what maintains. So most artists who sit here have a very strong input at the beginning. They have an idea. They might even have someone who is willing to give them some money or say, okay, go and do your song. But there is no system. And without a system, you will not be sustainable. You will not be sustainable. He said something, and the devil is wise, as he mentioned, the devil is so wise, because he understood that to thrive in this world, systems are already built, right? He built systems and ensured that if you want to stand like someone who can influence, you must be part of that system. Because he knows you can't survive without systems. He knows. But most of us are ignorant. We want to approach the world, I have a gift. I want to just bombard everything. It's amazing because when Mama Z told me I was going to teach on this topic, I just said maybe it's just God that is directing me. Because why I mentioned to her, I was already writing a book on how a book called The Marketplace Musician, how to approach the world and make money from music without having to soil your conscience. And there are ways, right? There are ways to make money in music without having to go and get involved. Yes, I intentionally took time to do that research because I was always asking myself, what is really the problem? Is it that we don't have the art? Is it that we don't have the means? What is really the problem? And I settled on many things. In fact, I saw so many more than 50-something possibilities of making money in music without necessarily having to soil your soul. And this is something I want us to pay attention to. You must not compromise. You must not bend your knees before you can succeed in music. If you have a system, somebody says system. Then you can thrive. I think many of the panelists who were here, they mentioned something. The one who was sitting here, he said, we need a community. He came and said something that I felt like he just ran over many people's heads. And I was like, okay. He said, the first thing is that we have a heritage. And this is something people don't understand. It's like a system was already being built, even without you knowing. There's a heritage, a very strong heritage. But we are not paying attention because we don't understand that these are systems that have been built in place, that have been put in place, structures that can help you build a sustainable artistic life. But we are so focused on self that we don't pay attention to systems. Say, give my man no go help, you never help me money. I go show you, say, when I succeed, I go blow, I go show you, say, you know that kind of thing. It's like, I want to succeed.
because I want to prove a point. Ego. And as a result of that, we ignore systems that are in place. And systems work with humility. The funny thing, because the thing with systems is that they have synergy. It means you give, somebody gives, and if you say, I'm not going to give because this person is not my friend, what happens is that immediately you are out of the system without even knowing. So systems work without ego. And so we ignore
systems. We ignore systems. Certain systems or earlier career trajectories do not require sustainability, which I've actually mentioned. I've also mentioned that systems are things that automatically help maintain themselves.